let's take our dream scene and tie it all together. So we're going to add some different colours, play around with the opacity, and even add some shadows, as you can see under the car there. And so let's just walk through how that's going to happen. Firstly, let's adjust the colours. I'm going to duplicate that landscape layer and go Image, Adjustments. And we can see here that we can change the hue, which is the strength of the colour, and the saturation. So this is changing the background landscape. As I change it, it's altering it to be warmer. As you can see, it's changing the colours of everything all at once. So let's make the sky an interesting colour. Maybe a pale orange with a blue floor or blue grass. I can increase or decrease the strength of that colour quite easily. It's quite vivid and strange, and that fits my dream scene idea fine, so I'll hit OK. Now I'm going to select the room. I'm being careful here to make sure I'm not editing the mask. I select the image itself. I can always work on a duplicate, so I'll just drag that and work on a duplicate. And I go Image, Adjustment, Hue and Saturation. Now let's try and get the floor. Oh, looks like my floor's not changing, just the furniture. Oh, that's because there's not much colour in there. I want those chairs to stand out from the background, so yeah, let's make them green. Okay. Next, my character. At the moment, he's the standard colours, Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and I'll make some changes. Get him looking a bit strange. Got too much blue in there, so let's keep him pink. Now, I'm happy with that for the moment, but if I wanted a pink head but another part of the body green, I would duplicate it and then I would mask out one version with a pink head and then do another version with a different coloured body. But I'm happy with that for now. My car in the foreground, I'm going to adjust the colour there, and I'm just going to make it a warm colour so it stands out from the others. Maybe a reddy colour, but I'm going to increase the saturation so it's nice and strong, and hit OK. Then what I want to do is do one of the other cars. Image. Now you can go into colour balance, and as you can see, you can adjust it more towards the red or the cyan, which is like a bluey hue, and increase the blue, and there I've got myself a blue car. So you should be comfortable trying either hue and saturation to do the last car, image adjustments, or colour balance, just for these sort of simple changes. Let's get this one. No, let's keep it coolish. So this one's a bit purple. Hit OK. Now what I'm going to do is, because it's in the background, I'm going to select that layer, make sure it's highlighted, and cancel. Change the opacity of that layer so it just blends in a bit with the background. So it's at about 70%. Car number 2, I might do the same, and I might just knock it back 10% or a bit more. Notice that those ones drop back in the scene. If I go back too far, I'm going to see the background showing through, but in this instance it helps to create a feeling of depth in my scene. That blue grass is bothering me a bit because the floor here doesn't match up, but that's something that I could fix later on. What I want to show you next, having done the colours and having adjusted the opacity of a couple of elements, is some shadows. So the first shadow I want to do is under my character. So I'm going to create a new layer, under the character, call this shadow. I'm going to select the brush and edit this colour so it's black, and I actually like to use 100% black when I'm doing this, because even at different opacities it tends to blend in better with the background. Now you can dodge or darken an area like this, but what I'll do is bring up my brush, increase the brush with my square bracket, and I want it to sit here. The light's coming from behind my character, and I can even use the eraser a bit if I really want, and clean up along there. So I'll just zoom in, Control plus, and I just want to, a soft brush might be better. Here we go. Let's make it a bit smaller. That's nicer. Now it doesn't look like a great shadow at the moment, so that layer I can decrease the opacity and even edit or change that as I'm going. I could even use a big eraser with a soft edge to create sort of a blend away from my character. I'm happy with that for the moment. On the car I'm going to do a more advanced shadow. So what I'm going to do first is duplicate the layer, and I'm going to sit it underneath. I'll call this car shadow, just so I'm keeping track of what it is. I'll try and spell that correctly. Okay, now I want the shape of the car, but I don't want all the detail in it. So what I'm going to do is select the mask and drag it to the bin. Hit apply, and that will apply the mask and delete all the extra background elements. Now I've just got the car without the mask. Double click on that layer and go to Color Overlay. Select that so it's highlighted, and this is the colour it's overlaying with at the moment. So if we have a look, no, there's not much of it there at the moment. So I'm going in, and like I said, I like 100% black. So 100% on CMYK, hit OK, hit OK, and we can't see it because it's underneath. So I'll just show you there what it looks like. I'm going to put it back underneath the car, and I'm going to turn the top car off for a second so we can see it. So this will become my shadow for my car. Firstly I'm going to blur it, so I go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and as you can see the edge is soft. I'll play around with it till I feel that it's a happy medium between a hard edge and a soft edge, and hit OK. Next I'm going to change the opacity of that layer. I'll just drop it down to about 50%. It's looking shadowy now. Let's put the car back over the top, but make sure the shadow layer is still selected, and go Control T, which is the same as going Layer Transform. And what I want to do with this transform box around my shape is right click and go Distort. Now I can grab these corners and drag it to be where I want it to be as a shadow. So let's position it there. I can drag it across. There's a bit of shadow showing at the front of the car, and I'm going to hit enter in a second, but as you can see I can move either a whole side or just these anchors on the ends. Hit enter when I'm happy with its position. I'm turning that background off because we don't get a good sense of what the shadow is doing at the moment, so I'll do it here. And once again I could use a soft eraser to give it an edge. even change the opacity of it like this. So I end up with some shadow, but it blends in. Or I could do the same thing with a mask.